Hey guys, here. Today I want to talk about Madden 22 and the things that need to improve from 21 gameplay wise. Now, we could talk about MUT all we want, but MUT I think is in a fine place. Franchise mode, it's obvious, downsides and problems with it. I don't have to go into it in this video, but gameplay I think is where most people have the biggest complaint from. You see those viral videos on the internet about this one thing going wrong and it's crazy and it's funny. That's generally not that big of a deal, like those one-time glitches. It's the repetitive awful nature of the meta and the balance of this game being out of whack that I think a lot of people actually hate, because you actually see that stuff on a day-to-day basis. So let's talk about those things that you see frequently that basically brings down the entire experience. Because as bad as Madden 21 is, and it's got really rough spots, there are positive things that they did this year, aka zone drops. Some of the things they did with weight on next gen is nice. Individual routes, the individualization of players through QB releases, that could be expanded upon. So some of the things that they've done over the years have been a positive change, but they got a long ways to go. And I think it's weird because Madden's in like a very transitional phase in its life, right? There's next gen and current gen. Now, current gen, in my opinion, is a significantly more fun game. Is it unrealistic? The fact that you can go side to side very quickly, the fact that you can stop and start, it's a little bit, right? But I think what happened, and this is Madden's biggest struggle over the years, is balance, right? Like oftentimes they swing the hammer too hard one way, then they swing it back, and they can't really get their game balance correct in the right spot. We see the same things every year. Gun bunch is always going to be the meta for passing, because its ability to hit most of the parts of the field with its unique routes and stuff and sets. So, and its blocking is better than a lot of other sets blocking because the way that it's just set up. So I think next gen, like, they wanted to go more realistic, and I think the speed acceleration and video games, it's tough because they have to draw a line between realism and fun, right? Like if Call of Duty and like Battlefield, say if you got shot and then you were never able to play the game again because that's what real life is, that's realistic, that probably wouldn't be a very fun video game, right? The disc destroys itself in the tray as soon as you get killed one time. That's not fun gameplay. So like, that's Madden, right? The same thing. It's a third-person omniscient view of a football field, and then you control the player. So it's never going to be realism until we're like player locked with the 180-degree look. We got to be in like a football simulator, that kind of stuff. But they do need to make compromises between fun and realism. In next gen, they went to realistic movement. Now, I can buy your acceleration and top end speed being realistic on it, but the agility is not realistic at all, right? Like everybody's like, oh, they move too fast on current gen. Well, EA, in their inability to balance things, swung the thing too far the other way, and the agility of guys like Tyreek Hill is embarrassing. It makes the game very unfun to have very unnimble players. Now, if I'm running with a 400-pound offensive lineman creative player, sure, not a lot of agility on those guys. I mean, creative player, you would just jack it up to 99 anyways. But like, I think they need to tune up next gen, and this player movement still needs a lot of fixing. They cannot leave the game in its unfun state on next gen that it is. Now, there's other things on next gen that we could talk about. The running game is overpowered. Derrick Henry himself, I like that weight matters, but the problem with it right now is like Derrick Henry will break some tackles, but because of the way the run game is coded in Madden, like, offensive linemen, defensive linemen don't fill gaps that well. The way that it's coded is like individualistic, and like zone runs a little harder to do, and like if they're like a stretch out, like guys like stop moving their movement once the offensive lineman decides to stop moving, the defensive lineman stops moving too, whereas it's unrealistic. Like, you don't really like pick your holes based off like how a guy's blocking, because they'll randomly shed the other way. There's shed timers, that kind of stuff that like basically dev shortcuts to make the game play sort of like football. That makes it a little bit more unrealistic, and it's tough to say, hey, that's how it should play, because that's the easiest way of coding it. Like, there needs to be a little bit more, I guess it's hard to say physics-based collisions between the offensive line and defensive line and the way they play off each other. But like, I don't know, the run game's just not right. And the only reason the run game is a little balanced at times is because offensive linemen miss their blocks, right? If offensive linemen found their blocks at a rate that like real offensive linemen do, like, the run game would be significantly overpowered. But it's a weird thing, like it's bad on offense, but it's worse on defense. Pursuit angles, play rec. Like, I want play rec to matter. I want guys to actually be able to diagnose plays and hit the hole. I don't want them to be standing 3 yards off the line of scrimmage flat footing while the running back runs into him at the linebacker depth. So like, it is disappointing how they have these guys recognizing and playing the game right now. So that needs to be updated, right? The logic, the AI, like I don't know why it's been this bad for years and I really haven't taken a crack at it. I think maybe because it doesn't sell copies, right? Like, oh, we've updated the AI, now it's more sophisticated than ever. Doesn't really sell, even though they've tried to make that sell as much as boo, brand new spanking feature, like back in the day, quarterback cone or target pass. Like they need something new to do, and it's tough because like in a corporate environment, you don't get a lot of like praise by reworking old systems. You get praise by bringing in new things, and the same thing with game sales. But AI 100% needs to improve in both Madden current and future gen, and I really don't know what they're gonna do about current gen, because current gen's the better game, but like it's not the future of the franchise, right? Current gen this next year might sell more than next gen sales wise, but the year after it's gonna be next gen. And I think, you know, maybe, you know, due to the console availability, that's why, you know, one of the reasons why current gen is gonna sell better. But like I don't know. It's hard to say, you know, improve last gen game because it's a better game, when I think a lot of their focus next year will be on next gen. But I do hope, you know, I'd like to see what they do with comp next year too, because with next gen, like in the unavailability of it, will they make competitive on that? Not that it really needs to be a big concern for the game devs, because it shouldn't, but because they tend to focus on that a lot more than the other one that the comp isn't on for whatever reason. Like they like focusing on like 200 gamers total versus the millions of people that play the game differently. So I don't know. I think like it's gonna be hard to see what it'll be interesting to see what they focus on more, current or next gen. I hope it's next gen. I hope they make it more fun. I think there's some big advantages to next gen. I don't like the play call menu on next gen. It looks ugly. And I feel like it's worse than current gen, but maybe I'll get used to it. I do feel like thresholds play too big of a deal in Madden, right? Like 90 route running. There's not enough, like thresholds. There needs to be more. Like there needs to be more, I guess, depth, and there needs to be more thresholds. Be like, what? I hate threshold. I don't know who would hate threshold, but like a certain number shouldn't play drastically different than every other number on there. And then like once you hit that number, the numbers above it don't mean anything, right? Like that seems to be the worst. Is the fact that once you hit that threshold, you're almost done for the year in upgrading that guy. So like once you hit 90 route running on like medium or deep, and those routes become crisp, then it doesn't matter anymore. So I want like more, I guess, precise and better, or more of them, more thresholds in order to like make guys stand apart. So somebody with 95 route running runs routes better than 90 route running. Okay, something like that needs to happen. I think the 2 and 3 man pass rush is too good. I think the ability to split double teams in this game is too good, right? Like, and then like I think contains aren't good enough, right? Like it is a video game. Like if I contain a quarterback and he's sitting outside the tight end's shoulder, the tight end should not be able to lock down my contain and the quarterback escape out the pocket, right? My end really needs to fight, really get to the outside, and then disengage if he gets broken, right? He should not be able to be locked down. Even if you double team him, the guy should fight the outside shoulder of that tight end and make it life hell for quarterbacks trying to escape. So 2 and 3 man pass rush, they need to get nerfed. 4-man pass rush, I mean, you can keep it as it is or even slightly buff it. But 2 and 3 man definitely should not be good enough to get to the quarterback, because that makes it hell to pass out there. Being able to drop 8 and 9 in coverage, especially 8 with the user, is kind of crazy. I like that weight matters on next gen, but like I said, they need to make weight matter, but not make it so like run first. Make weight on defense also matter with like defensive tackles and pushing the pocket and clogging run lanes and that kind of stuff. So offensive lineman weight needs to matter a little bit more. Offensive line, defensive line. I feel like communication needs to be upped a little bit on Madden for, you know, a lot of things that happen in the game. Like which routes are medium routes, short, deep, right? Like what do stats actually do sometimes? Like it'd be nice to get like a handbook put out by EA. Well, these things they said for years, oh, we're about to do that. We're going to do that. We're meaning to do that. But they never do it, right? They always kick the can down the road. They promise us some things, and we end up empty-handed, right? It's like the guy that bought you dinner said we're gonna have a great time together, takes advantage of you a little bit, and the next day you never see him again, right? They give big lofty promises. EA's the Barney of companies, and then you never see him again. So that hopefully needs to get improved, I guess. So I talked about pursuit, play rec, D lineman not pushing, and they always lose to the offensive lineman. Hit power, I don't feel like high hit power numbers sometimes matter enough. Like guys like Deion Sanders can hit guys well enough. Now on next gen, I feel like that's solved a little bit because weight matters more, but I don't feel like hit power lands it enough. Like it doesn't matter enough in the, you know, throwing hit sticks and getting animation formula. So like big intimidating guys that have a heavy weight matter, but like guys that have 99 hit power don't really matter against guys as much with 80 hit power. Now it does matter a little bit, but maybe not to the extent that it should. Deadeyes, inside deadeyes, right? What you see on your quarterbacks and stuff. I could show you an example of one. Inside deadeye is glitched this year. I just think deadeye should be out of the game, right? Deadeye shouldn't be in the game. Like abilities that replace attributes don't really have a need, right? Like escape artist, sure, it boosts their acceleration. It makes quarterbacks able to get out of the pocket fast. That's fine. Hot route master is a good ability example. Inside deadeye and things that should just be accuracy, the ability to throw on the run, running backwards, a turnaround 360, 620, 1080, and then dot the receiver with no accuracy loss shouldn't be in the game, right? That makes Madden too crazy, unrealistic, too big of a bailout. Like they should be able to throw that inaccurate. So inside deadeye, it's glitched. Roaming deadeye is glitched too. Just get rid of all the deadeyes, please, out of this game. Just get rid of those abilities flat out. Quarterback should never have perfect accuracy if they're throwing off balance under pressure and across their body. Defenders swat the ball too often instead of intercept it. The scramble drill is still awful. Wide receiver blocks down the field. Kickoff blocks. Guys just like take plays off. That still needs to be improved. Like awareness. I think like talk about the scramble drill, right? We know about blocks downfield being bad. The scramble drill. I think receivers need to work to open field, and I think defenders need to be able to recognize receivers running towards their territory and get to them. Like there should be a button on defense. All right, the scramble drill started. Hit this button, all your defenders are gonna run towards the nearest receiver, and they're gonna try and guard them. There needs to be something like that. Like I believe they have something like that IRL. When the scramble drill happens, the defender finds the closest receiver and gets near him. Like there needs to be something like that for Madden, right? If I press, you know, L1 when the play is going on, boom, all my zone guys are gonna switch now that the quarterback's broken the pocket to covering the guy closest to him, and they're gonna switch onto him. Now maybe it's gonna be abused and people will hit L1 right off the ball snap, but maybe put like a little delay, like 3-4 second delay, so that way there's no glitchiness there where they can't just like call their zones and snap them and then they you know move funny. Maybe there does need to be a little bit of delay in that overall, but I think that's not a bad idea to help. So like receivers work towards open space, but defenders also work to try and stop them. Because right now defenders basically are out there like traffic cones. The ball's thrown, then they react, and it's kind of unrealistic and it's awful sometimes. I think there was no reason to make cover 3 or cover 4 harder to bomb, right? If guys sit in one coverage all game, they should pay for it, right? The fact that cover 3s don't cover in so you guys know what flood concepts are, right? Streak, corner, flat is an example of a flood concept. So in that instance, the streak will clear out the third, and then like you're facing like 2 receivers to take on 1 defender, and then the quarterback chooses who to throw to. Well, without that streak clear out route, and somebody runs a corner to a deep third, the deep third should take that corner and not let them throw that corner route. Right now, the way they've made the gameplay, they turn deep thirds into deep halves, so they play back further, so the corner route's open all day. That cannot be, right? You cannot be able to throw a corner route at a deep third and they don't match it to the corner. What they did was that because, like, I don't know, little Timmy was like, wow, why is my cover 3 getting bombed? Because they're running a corner route and then they're getting outside the pocket and throwing over top because he doesn't know how to adjust. Right? So they took that out. So now the covering corner routes has become a lot different and difficult. People do roll out corners down, all that awfulness. So they shouldn't have changed cover 3, because if you wanted to play the route over the top, you just audible to deep halves, and that took care of that. So the fact that they changed something that should have been in the game, and it wasn't the most effective. Cover 3 corners didn't really stop corner route. Cover 3 deeps didn't really stop corner routes, but they were a lot better prior to that patch. They need to do that again. They need to stop. They need to be able to get there. And then like you need, obviously if contain work, then they can't roll out and do that like bomb over the top or, you know, a lot of that other shenanigans. But there was no reason that people should be able to sit in cover 3 and not get bombed, right? Sit in the same coverage all game, and then you basically flood. You rush 2, sit in cover 3. You have your user and a whole bunch of people double flatting, and it becomes very hard to pass without being able to bomb it over the top. Then cover 4, like, you know, Portland concepts are the real life counter to cover 4, and they made it super hard to throw now. I'm not saying it's impossible, but for some reason they made it a lot harder to throw. I don't know why they take cover 4 bombs out of the game like that. Like, that's just like the gene. Like, I can understand messing up, right? The drop passes glitch where they're just incompetent, they screw up their job, but then they fix it a week or 2 later. I can understand that, right? Because everybody screws up at times. But consciously making bad decisions, non-football decisions too, right? If it works IRL, you take it out. What's your whole point of making this into a simulation in the first place? Your whole point is whack. It's gone. It's awful. Okay? So they need to keep those concepts in the game, and they need to have them work, because that's real life concepts, not consequences, which I kind of mixed up my words there. Interception camera still sucks. You should not take over my character. Just do it like you did 5 years ago. They intercept the ball, the camera turns around, stops, and then it takes over. It wasn't that hard. Why didn't you keep that? Get away from this auto run BS that you put into the game. Such a hack around. Just make the interception camera turn and then give us control, okay? Make it like it used to be. It was simple, okay? Tight end delay fades to the glitch, allow man coverage to work against them, boom, they're solved, okay? Playmaker is fine, but the ability is whack. Get rid of the ability of Playmaker, or, you know, make it more expensive. I mean, it's an okay price right now, but it needs to be as expensive as possible. So those are my opinion about gameplay right now. Some things easier to fix than others. Hopefully the tight end delay fade glitch is not that hard to fix, but I don't know why they haven't done it this year at all. So what do you guys think? What needs to change in Madden's gameplay going into 22? Let me know. Thanks for watching. Call to action. Please thumbs up. Helps the channel out a lot. Thumbs down if you didn't like the video. Let me know why in the comments. Appreciate you guys. See ya.